All right, so I think we're going to try and actually put some tasks on the Gantt chart. But before we do that, I wanted to add a little conditional formatting to these statuses. So for this status, let's go to Home, Conditional Formatting, and New Rule, and use the formula to determine format. So here, if we have this status of completed, that's in age 20, so equals age 20. I think I might need to select all the ones in the range. Let's try that. Okay. Now let's go to conditional formatting, new rule, use formula equals H $H20 equals completed, and the format we want when completed is I'm using this blue color. Okay, this just makes it easier to see at a glance what's going on with the task. In progress, on track, I'm using a green color, so we'll do conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula equals $H20 equals progress on track, and you need to be very exact with your spelling here. That's part of why we validated using a list, so that you had to use the exact spelling so this kind of formatting would work. And for in progress on track, I'm just going to use a green color, and let's hit OK. That looks good. For in progress at risk, we'll do conditional formatting, new rule, use formula equals $H20 equals in progress at risk, meaning that that task may be having potential issues and we should pay some extra attention to it. And I'm going to use a yellow color for that. And blocked. Conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula equals $H20 equals quote, blocked, end quote. And the format I'm going to use for that is red. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see if our conditional formatting is coming down. It is. So that's some good formatting. Now we can work on getting our tasks to show up on the Gantt chart part. Let's go ahead and save this file as tasks on Gantt chart. Excuse me. Okay, so there's a couple things that we're going to refer to as we do this. So we're going to make a couple more names. One of them is the status. We may reflect some of these in here. So let's go ahead and create a named range for our status. So we'll go to Formula, Ribbon, Name Manager, and New. We'll call this Status Row, using this in the workbook for scope, and equals $H20. Okay, and our percent complete, we may use that for something, so we'll go new percent row, select the worksheet, task and example, and equals $I20. Hit OK. And we're going to create a calculation that we'll use with that percent, so we can go ahead and create that now. So we'll hit new, and we'll call that percent. I think I'll keep that lowercase. Calculation in the worksheet. I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger because I'm going to be typing this formula out. Equals date less than or equal to plan start row plus planned end row, subtract plan start row times percent row. Let's hit OK. We'll use that in a little bit. And then we're going to do another calculation, so we'll hit new, and this one is going to be called item in plan, used here on the worksheet, and we'll call that and date greater than or equal to plan start row, comma, date less than or equal to planned end row. And what that is going to do is it's going to see if the particular date falls between this plan start and plan end. So we're going to use that in the Gantt chart part. Hit OK and close. So want to format the cells in the Gantt chart using some conditional formatting, and if a task falls within a certain date, we want to add some shading to the cells that correspond with the date in the same rows as that task. So we already know that we're going to go to ABY column, and we want to determine how far down we should go. And I just gave myself a whole lot of room to play with a lot of tasks, you know, in case I like delete things, because when you delete things it'll move the bottom rows up. So I'm just going to go down to row 2000. So I'm going to select my first cell in the Gantt chart, which is on W20, and then we're going to use the address window and do a colon. We're going to go to ABY 2000, and that selects that big range. And now we're going to go to the home ribbon and conditional formatting, and new rule. And use a formula, and the formula we're going to use is equals item in plan, and the format we're going to select is just a general gray color. Maybe we'll go a little darker. Let's use a dark one. We can change it if we don't like it. Let's hit OK, and let's hit OK. And it looks like it worked. So now we have our tasks showing up here in the Gantt chart. And if we compare some of these dates, start on 7/12, end on 7/13. This is start August 1st, end August 2nd. This is start July 22nd and end July 26th. And this is July 25th to July 28th, 4 work days. And this is July 12th to July 12th. So I think it looks like it's basically working. Okay, so the other thing that I thought would be nice is to have some of this color-coded status show up in our Gantt chart. So we're going to do some more conditional formatting for that. So let's select our entire Gantt chart again. So in the address window, colon, and ABY 2000. Let's double check our ABY. Okay, and hit enter. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and we'll do equals, and we want to test a couple things and see if they're true. Status row equals in progress, on track, and date greater than or equal to plan start row. And percent calculation. So let's take a look. Okay. And let's try entering a percent in there. Let's try 75. Okay, so I found a couple of potential errors in those last formulas I entered. So if you select this cell W20 and go to the formulas ribbon, the name manager, and these couple of these row calculations, I found an issue. So double check these. The percent row should be at $I20, and planned end row should be $R20. Planned start row should be $Q20. The status row, I think one error was in the status row, and originally it said $H16, but it should say $H20 when you're selected in that W20 cell. So you may need to edit and fix that to say H20, and there was one other. And I can't remember what it was. It might have been percent. Percent should be I20. So you just want to make sure when you're selected in cell W20 that all these ones that have a reference give you the correct row number. Once you fix that, then you'll notice that after we did this in progress, that these ones that say in progress are showing up with them partially green, and it's based on what percent you have in there. So if this is 100%, it'll fill all up with 100%. And these are done just by days, so obviously in this one that's 75%, it can't fill half a cell. It's not a perfect system, but it gets you in the ballpark. So that's okay. So now that we did in progress, let's select all of ours. Let's go to Home, Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules, and probably helps if we're selected in one of our right cells. Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules, and there was our formula for doing green. And I may have also forgotten to select the format. So you may need to edit and go to Format and Fill and select the green color and hit OK. But I'm going to copy this formula because all we're going to do on the others is use the same formula and use the text. So we'll hit close, we'll go back to our address bar, do colon ABY 2000 to select our range. And we'll go back to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula. We'll paste our formula in, and let's select, instead of on track, we'll do at risk, and we're going to do a format fill of yellow. Hit OK. Hit OK. And you'll see that get some yellow showing up there. Let's go to conditional formatting, manage rules. Let's do conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and let's do, instead of in progress on track, let's do completed, use a format fill and use blue, hit OK. And let's do one with blocked. So let's go to W20 to ABY 2000. We can go to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, paste our formula, and change the text to blocked, and use red. All right, so now we have our tasks showing up on our Gantt chart, and I also want to add our highlighting for the current day. So while I've got all that selected, I'm going to go to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and we're going to use we're going to want to test a couple of conditions here. So we're going to hit and W17 equals today, and we only want this to show up on the rows that have a task in them, so we're going to test $B20 is not empty. So if there's an ID number in the B column, it'll show up. Otherwise, we don't want it to put anything. And format, we're going to go to fill, and the pattern color, we're going to use this gold color, and the pattern style, we're going to use this vertical stripe. Let's hit OK, and let's hit OK. And it didn't show up. All right, I may have hit something incorrectly, so if we go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and here's our one with our vertical yellow stripe. There's our formula. Click on it, hit edit rule, and you just want to make sure that when I got into this, it had some quotations or marks around the and. I might have forgotten to put an equal sign at the beginning. So you want to remove the quotations at the beginning and end. And I had double quotation marks here after the B20, and I just took those out. And you want to make sure your formula looks like this one here. Hit OK, hit apply, and now we have the current day with this yellow stripe, just to highlight the current day there. So the last thing that I am going to put in is this actual start and actual end. So so far this is going to be a decent planning tool, but sometimes you may want to keep track of how your actual execution stacks up against the plan. And one way you could do that is you could maybe make the plan and then go adjust these dates as you go along, but I just wanted to give myself an option to be able to track what actually happened on the same chart. And so we have these actual start, actual end, and actual days, and we're going to use these to just add a little extra formatting here about, if something stacks up. So I want to create a named range for the actual start, actual end. And so we're going to go to the formulas bar and name manager, new. We're going to call this actual start row. The scope's going to be just this worksheet, and that is going to be equal to, this column is S20, so we're going to be $S20 and hit OK, and then new and actual end row, scope is the worksheet, and that's going to be $T20, and hit OK. And let's hit close. And so, let's just pretend this was 2 days late. So let's say we got started on 7/14 and we ended on 7/17, because that falls over a weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and change all these date formats to match these other ones first. So I'm going to select them, right click, format cells, date, and that date format looks good. Let's do that. Okay. And let's calculate the actual days that this took. So if we go into this cell and we use, we're going to use equals, and we're going to do a little bit of testing. I don't really want to put anything in here unless the start and end date have been filled in. So we're going to do if and actual start row is not empty, and actual end row is not empty. And if that's true, we're going to use network days actual start row, actual end row, and holidays list. And if that is not true, then we're just going to leave the cell blank and hit enter. Okay, and so that calculated our actual days, but I'd also like this to show up on the Gantt chart, so we'll do some conditional formatting. So we'll select our W20 cell, use the address window, hit colon ABY 2000, so we can select the whole Gantt chart, the conditional formatting, and then we'll go to the home ribbon, conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and we're going to say equals, I think I forgot that last time, and date greater than or equal to actual start row, comma, space, date less than or equal to actual end row, and the format that we want. I wanted something that was just different, so I'm going to use another pattern color, and I think I picked something kind of bright, so I'm going to go to more colors, and I just want to pick something that is different than what I've used. So this kind of pinkish color, I think that'll stand out, and that'll work. And a pattern style. This time I'm going to use a horizontal stripe. And let's hit OK. And OK. And now you can see that my actual shows up there, so I can still see the plan, but I can see the actual, if maybe it was on time, we can change that, 07/1/12/2023 and 07/1/13/2023. It'll just overlay what was there. So, this is just so this just lets me do some tracking after the fact. I obviously have to know the start dates and end dates, but this will let me add a little bit of tracking onto my Gantt chart, so I can evaluate, if something went to plan or not, and then, that might help with some after the fact analysis of what did go wrong, if anything, why was something delayed or why was it early, and is there something we need to change the next time we go around. So I think that's a good place to stop for this one. Our Gantt chart is populating, and in the next one then maybe we'll work on adding some more functionality for some of these dependencies and where we'll go next.